Hi, my name is Feijão. I'm also known as beans or frijoles or fajolo. Really kind of depends on what language you speak. I've also had some other weird names for short periods of time like Filaggio and Pomodoro, but that's another story.
This is where I live. I think it's a pretty nice house. It's actually bigger than the one we used to live back in Rio in Brazil. This one we call Ipanema. It's pretty spacious. There's a lot of room for me to run around. There's 4 rooms, nice dining areas, a spacious kitchen, where I spend a lot of time waiting for some food, and a cool place on top. We call it the fly bridge or something. Well, it's where you have the best views and a cool breeze most of the time. I love it. About to embark on a pretty cool adventure. It's all everyone has been talking about lately. We're gonna try to sail from Panama to the Galapagos Islands and then all the way to the Marquesas Islands in the French Polynesia. It's a pretty big challenge, the longest crossing we have ever done and probably will ever do. If everything goes according to plan, we will be covering approximately 4,000 nautical miles. Guys, that's like 7,400 kilometers, and we're expecting it to take us around 2 months, including a stopover in Las Perlas Islands and then Galapagos Island. As you can imagine, there's a lot of preparation involved. Basically, food for all of us for that long, safety stuff, navigation, communications, boat maintenance. Well, the list is endless.
By the way, this is me, Feijão. This is my favorite place here on the boat. Don't mind my feminine voice, okay? I'm actually a boy. I'm 3 years old, and like my parents, I'm also from Brazil. I'm here with my parents. These are mom and dad. They've been loving and feeding me pretty much since I was born. They spoil me rotten and drag me everywhere they go. It's awesome. This is Dad's cousin, Enrique. He's actually a super smart doctor and will be in charge to take care of all of us during the trip. Pretty good. I knew him already. He's nice. Then there's Dad's friend from his old job, Caio, and his girlfriend Isis. They both love to work out and are trying to get everyone on board fit. I'm actually running out of this one. And this is Fabio. My parents actually met him on the internet. Can you believe? If you ask me, however, I'm liking him. He arrived holding 3 10-kilo bags of my favorite dog food. And a bone for me, people. A bone.
We actually started living on our sailboats 3 years ago in Croatia, back in Europe. And since then, I've sailed through the Mediterranean, we've crossed the Atlantic Ocean, we've sailed the Caribbean Sea, and now we're heading to the much-dreamed South Pacific. We've so far traveled around 30 countries and had more than 300 guests and family and friends on board. We have just sailed 8 hours west and we just arrived at Linton Bay Marina, where we will be getting our boat prepared for the big trip across the Pacific Ocean. Linton is actually not a bad place to work on your boat. Unlike other boat yards, here we are surrounded by all these trees. The sea is actually really nice and clean. We can go out on our SUP and we can work hard, but also enjoy when we have some free time. I've even met yesterday these crazy dudes that love banana as much as I do on this island just in front of the marina. It was pretty cool. So today is the big day. We're setting sails. Woohoo! Our first stop is actually not too far from here, but such an important one. We're gonna cross the Panama Canal. The Panama Canal is one of the world's most important engineering projects, or so I was told. It says it connects the Atlantic with the Pacific Ocean, with locks that bring ships up and down the long mountainous terrain that actually connects the North and the South American continents. The locks, 3 on each side, actually this was before the recent expansion, were for a long time the world's largest concrete structures. They have functioned flawlessly 24/7 for nearly 100 years. It's amazing. Away here, I met some cool friends. We had hundreds and hundreds of dolphins swimming around the boat. Seriously, hundreds. We also saw like 10 humpback whales, 2 baby sharks, some alien-looking jellyfish. We spotted these yellowish stingrays. And we also had the odd migrating bird that would actually come and rest on our boats during the crossing. How cool is that? After crossing to the Pacific Ocean, we did a quick stop at Las Perlas Islands, that is still in Panama waters. This was actually the last stretch of sand I could go bonkers at before being stuck on the boat for a pretty long time. So I made the most of it. After a quick stop at Las Perlas Island, it was time to head to the Galapagos. The crossing took us 8 days and we covered 964,000 nautical miles. It was long, but it was fun. I slept most of the time. The day before we arrived in Galapagos, we had one of those very peaceful days where everything just stands so still. It was actually the day we crossed the equator line for the very first time with our boats. I did not see what the big deal was, but everyone seemed pretty happy about it. They even had champagne for breakfast. And Dad's cousin, the doctor, he even dressed up as a pirate. He made my mom pierce his ears a few days before doing his so-called first aid crash course so he could wear earrings with his outfit. Anyways. Crossing the equator line for the first time is a big thing for sailors. People do different things, different kinds of celebration, all in honor of Neptune, the ocean's king in Roman mythology. Our crew, true to our Brazilian roots, we believe in the goddess of the sea, who protects us and somehow controls our destiny. We call her Iemanjá. Every now and then we like to give her offerings, mostly in the form of throwing a flower into the ocean, just to show how thankful we are and to kindly ask her for her blessing. Galapagos on the 15th of April. Man, it was so cool. We were first greeted by this awesome rock called Kicker Rock, or León Dormido, as they say here. It's one of Galapagos' most beautiful sights. As we were approaching San Cristobal, which was our first stop here, we had this mola fish swimming right alongside our boat. It was the first time we all ever saw one of these prehistoric looking fish. Super cool. I was told Galapagos is a national park. It's made up of a group of volcanic islands formed over 5 million years ago. Since then, the process of transformation of Galapagos has not ceased. It is a haven for countless species of plants and animals, and it was here that a young scientist named Charles Darwin arrived in 1835 on board the sailboat Beagle, and he began formulating a coherent idea about the evolution of species, which would years later revolutionize the world. For our boat to get permission to visit the islands, we had to previously get a special permission called an autografo, so we could anchor and our crew could disembark. Well, all except me. Unfortunately, you're not allowed to bring any sort of animals nor plants into this special ecosystem. It actually made sense, and we all agreed it needs to be preserved for the sake of all humankind. I was stuck on our boat for our time here, but actually I was not too bothered. I slept a lot, and at the end of every day, I would hear our crew talk about their latest adventures and all the animals they saw, some for the very first time in their lives. I was also kept pretty entertained on board. We had these sea lions that would swim by and eventually try and climb on board too. I had to bark them off. My dad says they look like me. They're lazy, they're playful, and they're chubby. We visited in total 3 of the islands: San Cristobal, Santa Cruz, and Isabela. Our crew did a lot of diving in some awesome spots like Kicker Rock, Gordon's Rock, and Tortuga Island. They all said it was the best dives of their lives. They saw for the first time a whale shark. Man, this was my mom's dream. She was over the moon. They also saw several hammerhead sharks, mola molas, sea turtles, sea lions, white-tip, black-tip, and Galapagos shark, all of course in addition to hundreds of colorful fish. On other days, they went snorkeling, which they said was as much fun. On one of these days, they swam with a bunch of playful sea lions on Tijeretas. This was in San Cristobal Island. Then with seahorses, sea turtles, and white-tip sharks at Los Túneles. animals on land were as cool too. It's crazy the array of animals you can see in Galapagos. From marine and land iguanas to giant turtles, blue-footed boobies, frigates, sea lions, and even bright pink flamingos. We were not lucky enough to spot penguins, but they say they live here too for parts of the year. After a fun 2-week stint on Galapagos, everyone was sad to leave, but ready to go. The excitement for the trip ahead was contagious. It was time for our biggest challenge yet, crossing the Pacific Ocean. Stocking up with a lot of food, a lot of diesel and fresh water, and sending those goodbye messages to our loved ones whilst we still had some internet connection, we left on a beautiful sunny morning with a light south wind, which allowed us to start heading west. Imagine, we're expecting it to last between 20 and 25 days at sea. That's like almost a month, with no land in sight, no place on the way to buy more food, stuck on this boat with the same 6 people, and no form of communication. I mean, there's no Wi-Fi in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. All we have is our satellite phone and our close-range VHF radio. Close to the equator are usually very fickle. There's also a huge area close to the Galapagos known for unsettled weather conditions. It constantly shows extensions of doldrums with gray skies, confused swells, frequent squalls, and lightnings. An area, as you can imagine, we really wanted to try and avoid. First day, we had a lot of fishing action going on. Thank God. We started with a tuna and then a mahi-mahi interested on our baits. Caught a beautiful and delicious mahi-mahi, enough to feed all 6 of them, plus me. I got fed a lot of mahi-mahi sashimi, which I love. So one of the things that I like to do the most is pretty much sleep. And since we couldn't get out of the boat, that's what I did for most of the time. I'm good with this sleeping thing, you know? I can sleep with my belly up, on my side, upside down. Doesn't really matter for me. I can get comfortable easily. Like this one, each person has a job. Each crew member has a 2-hour shift during the day and 2 hours at night. This means that basically we always have someone at the helm, paying attention to the autopilot, the weather conditions around us, and basically just trying to spot any animals or other boats around if there are any. After each shift, they complete a logbook with information such as the wind, the wave, the directions we're going, the sails we're using, and any other information they feel relevant. My mom is in charge of the kitchen, cleaning the boat and looking after me. Everyone also helps with the dishes. surprised at how well we managed to eat, even in the middle of nowhere, such as the Pacific Ocean. With the help of the fresh fish the guys managed to catch every once in a while. You know, in total it was 7. We caught 5 mahi-mahis and 2 big tunas. Mom managed to rock in the kitchen, trying to be creative with all our limitations. But all those fresh, yummy fish really helped. She even started baking bread for breakfast towards the end, which helped raise the spirits and make everyone really happy. I'm no different. After all, I'm the only sailor dog around here. Basically, my meals consist of fish-based dog food. And since everything went as smooth as planned, what we did was pretty much a lot of sleeping. The crew also did a lot of reading, sunbathing, playing games on their phones, watching movies, eating, and believe it or not, even swimming sometimes, tied to a rope at the back of the boat. Did I tell you these guys are crazy? The crossing from Galapagos to Polynesia was a long 3-week sail, but we had fun. We learned a lot about the stars. My mom and dad studied French. Enrique became an expert on all types of knots you can imagine. And we learned more about each other. But most importantly, we had a blast. It was certainly one of the best adventures in our lives, with the best Brazilian crew ever. It was all pretty much smooth sailing from here on. We had mostly beautiful sunny days, the off cloudy day, and just one evening with short rain, just to wake everyone up. At the end of the day, although all those potential threats, all the planning we did paid off. This was really the right time of the year to make the crossing. Thank you, Captain, for all those hours you put in reading a lot about it and trying to understand the crazy weather forecast. We really appreciate it. The crossing from Galapagos to Polynesia was a long 3-week sail. It took us in total 21 days to complete 3,020 nautical miles. Guys, that's like over 5,500 kilometers to get here. Overlooking Taiohae Bay in Nukuhiva Island, there's this enormous tiki, which is a Polynesian statue in honor of the gods. This one is named Tuhiva. The story goes that if you want to immortalize your visit here, you should drop a note inside the statue's belly. And of course, we didn't miss the opportunity. It was the perfect ending of an amazing journey that lasted 2 months. The perfect opportunity to thank the gods and the universe. We just feel so blessed and honored to be here today. We want to thank again our amazing kick-ass crew, with which we couldn't have done it without, Enrique, Fabio, Isis, and Caio.